6:30 p.m. Cameroon time. Hello, thanks for being a part of today's edition of Prime News live from Studio 1 of My Media Prime Television in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. My name is Van Quinta. The news starts now. Torrential rains in the economic city has left severe areas inundated, pushing the population to be stranded, especially during the early hours of today. Our reporter Arlene Sima visited some of the affected neighborhoods and compiled the following report for Prime News.
Resorting to being carried on the backs of others for a fare of 200 francs or more, depending on your weight or size, was the perfect means of transportation as traffic was halted early this morning at Sable Bonamusa di Douala due to the huge floods of yesterday's heavy rains breaking Thursday morning. Vehicles, bikes, pedestrians were stuck in the middle of the road at Sable Bonamusadi around the bridge right up to the Maitu roundabout for hours unending. While some returned home due to the floods which made them unable to get to their workplaces, others had a chance of crossing over with bikes, tricycles, or better still taking off their shoes and passing through to the other side on foot, in the water, or being carried on others' backs. While in Kati, Bileng, Bonaberi, Maison Ankaro, Mabanda, as well as Makepe, Misoke, the inhabitants had to swim in the flood this morning as the rainwater reached waist level. Flooded homes, garages, and streets left an unconfirmed amount of damages this morning. Note should be taken here that floods in the economic capital city of Cameroon from time immemorial remain a big threat to livelihood in some areas of the town and are sometimes related to poor town planning, poor drainage systems, and blocked waterways, among others. It is worth mentioning that Douala city dwellers had earlier been informed by weather forecasts to expect the heavy rains and floods from August 10th, but as usual, many failed to prepare for the call to nature a day after.
Now, latest report coming from the Bonanjo Court of First Instance says Madame Rebecca Enonchong is still with a prosecutor of the said court after a new detention order. Sources say there are two possibilities. Her detention can either be renewed or she be sent to the Nuba prison. Lasha Kingsley recounts the circumstances that led to her arrest.
The Cameroonian-born international tech entrepreneur was arrested Tuesday by the security forces, reportedly on the instruction of the Attorney General. He is said to have filed a verbal complaint against her over what is known in legal jargon as contempt of magistrate. Rebecca Enonchong is accused of having disrespected the magistrate in a case pitting her and her brother. On Wednesday, a detention order was signed by the prosecutor of the Court of First Instance Bonanjo Douala. Rebecca Enonchong was back in court earlier today and her file was registered. At the time of this report, it was still unclear if she would be allowed to go home or another detention order will be signed. On Wednesday, August 11, 2021, at the Court of First Instance Bonanjo Douala, Edith Wala, national president of the CPP party, had described the arrest of the tech entrepreneur as illegal and unjust. She had said Rebecca's arrest did not follow due process.
We are in front of the Court of First Instance in Douala. What are we doing here? There is no complaint, there is no written complaint against Madame Enoncho. There is no warrant of arrest. There is no summons even. She was called by phone to come to the gendarmerie for affairs concerning her. She went, and now she was held yesterday. She spent the night at the Legion of the Gendarmerie, and at this time where we are speaking, she is still under arrest. Why? We are understanding that the gendarmes have said that they received verbal instructions from the Attorney General to arrest her. Verbal instructions? Is this how Cameroon justice works? Now, the Attorney General is the complainant. He is complaining that there was, I guess, something like contempt of court or contempt to a magistrate. I'm not sure how you translate outrage à magistrat. But which magistrate are we talking about? We are talking about the same Attorney General. We have been sitting here for 2 hours because the Procureur of First Instance here has gone to take instructions from the same Attorney General. So the Attorney General is the complainant. He is the one who has instigated arrest. Apparently, he's the one to judge the case. Is this normal?
Kawala also expressed worries over what she terms selective presumption of innocence in Cameroon.
The Minister of Communication told us that there is a presumption of innocence in Cameroon. He was telling us that when it concerned his colleagues, ministers, who have stolen our public money. But Madame Enochong, who is a CEO for over 20 years in Cameroon, a world-renowned expert in tech, a spokesperson for African tech, known throughout the world, cannot, if there is something against her, let them follow the judicial process. Let them lay a complaint as normal, bring the matters of evidence, and she can sit at home and come. This is not a criminal matter.
Cameroonians, including prominent human rights defenders and activists in the likes of Madame Maxime Milene Gombe and André Blaise Essama, stormed the Bonanjo Court of First Instance Wednesday, demanding for the immediate and unconditional release of Rebecca Enonchong.
Some Cameroonians in the nation's economic capital have reacted following the recent measures taken by Transport Minister to curb road accidents on major highways in the country. Student journalist on internship Nuben Naivona visited some transport agencies and compiled the following report.
With the recurrence of road accidents on highways in Cameroon resulting to loss of lives and material damage, Cameroon's Minister of Transport Jean-Ernest Massénangale Bibehe on Tuesday, August 10, during a crisis meeting in Yaoundé with some head of agencies, announced the suspension of some accident-implicated agencies and some defaulters of the highway code. According to the minister's note, these, amongst other resolutions arrived at, are intended to curb the rate of road accidents recorded in the country. Reacting to the minister's decision, some passengers at a travel agency in Bepanda, Douala have expressed diverse opinions concerning the minister's road safety measures, with some blaming the bad state of roads as major cause of road accidents.
Cette mesure ne peut pas venir à éliminer les accidents parce que l'état de nos routes est alarmant. Nous n'avons pas de route. Beaucoup d'accidents sont causés par la mauvaise route et puis les brouillards. Les brouillards que certains gros engins, n'est-ce pas, mettent sur leur bus qui ne permettent pas aux chauffeurs de pouvoir voyager en toute quiétude. Voilà. Si on suspend les agences et qu'on arrange pour aussi les routes, ça doit toujours faire problème.
De un, les routes ne sont pas bonnes et de deux, nous devons voir la formation de nos chauffeurs aussi, les conscientiser lors des conduites.
Il faut connaître que les routes qui ont été construites ont été faites aux années 1960, auxquelles une voiture passait 30 minutes après une autre. Maintenant, c'est toute une chaîne. C'est pourquoi on a les embouteillages. C'est tout de même que dans nos villes, on a les embouteillages parce qu'on n'a pas tenu compte 50 ans après.
Concerning the installation of functional seat belts as one of the measures by the minister, officials of some interurban travel agencies in Douala say the measure is already effective.
Nous essayons, n'est-ce pas, de pouvoir mettre les bus en bon état, ce qui est la sécurité des passagers. Dans chaque bus, comme vous avez monté là, les ceintures de sécurité sont là. Les gens sont assis deux par côté, on n'est pas touffu. Et puis les vitesses sont limitées, on demande aux chauffeurs de rouler avec une vitesse moyenne comme est indiqué, 60 km à l'heure, n'est-ce pas, sur le bus.
With the recent measures taken by the government, many Cameroonians are of the opinion that there should be a follow-up to ensure that these measures are respected. Nonetheless, many opine that curbing road accidents is a collective effort of all Cameroonians.
Still ahead, the tragic demise of a young boy of Samuel Dam has left inhabitants of P&C neighborhood in Bamenda still in shock. The child died after being beaten by a young man nicknamed Petit Freditos with Dolingante.
A young man nicknamed Petit Frere, residing at the Ntarikon neighborhood in Bamenda, is on the run after mercilessly beating this young toddler, Samuel Ndam, which has subsequently led to his untimely death. The now dead baby's father, Cho Jarvis, who happens to be a painter, and his mother, Cho Relindis, a nurse at the Bamenda Regional Hospital, were both attending to duty's call, leaving their kids under the supervision of their babysitter, whose only name is gotten as Pierre. While the parents were at work, Pierre's cousin, nicknamed Petit Frere, is said to have visited the Cho's family pound located at the P&T neighborhood, still in Bamenda, during which Pierre, the babysitter, dashed out to make some purchases while ensuring the safety of his employer's kids with his cousin Petit Frere. Upon returning back home, the oldest kid, called Joseph, alerted Pierre that his cousin, nicknamed Petit Frere, had lynched on the baby like it were the case of mob justice against a thief. Filled with rage, Pierre rushed to confront his cousin, but unfortunately, by the time he got there, he had already vanished. Upon reaching out for the baby, Chris Kurt's fingerprints could be spotted all over the kid. On his part, after several failed attempts to feed the baby, Pierre resorted to informing the baby's mother, Cho Relindis, a nurse at the Bamenda Regional Hospital, when the baby began convulsing. Immediately, the baby was rushed to the hospital, where all attempts by paramedics to save the baby's life went futile when the baby gave up the ghost. Meantime, the young Samuel Ndam has been laid to rest as investigations have been opened to track down the perpetrator.
Recent attacks in Jirong village, northwest region of Cameroon, perpetrated by the Ntumbo villagers, has left many families homeless after their houses were destroyed. The population has called on government to intervene for peace to be restored. Details with Nora Kakebi.
These are the victims from Jirong village in Ndu subdivision in the northwest region of Cameroon, who have come under yet another attack from the neighboring Ntumbo village over land matters. A good number of families in the Mborong neighborhood in Jirong have been rendered homeless because their houses were burnt down by their neighbors from Ntumbo. According to a spokesman from Mborong, a total of 58 houses belonging to different families in Mborong locality have been burnt down, leaving families homeless and helpless and many animals killed.
Ntumbo people, they don't catch for more than 100
People from Tumbo have killed our animals. Over 58 houses have been razed. The population has been rendered homeless and we do not know where to go from here. At this point, some of them live at the brigade because their houses have been set ablaze.
Population, some they stay for brigade for Taba.
The recent attacks on Mborong has once more sparked conflicts, which is again worsened by the silence of the divisional officer for Ndu and other government authorities, as mentioned by the spokesman. According to most of the villagers of Njirong, the divisional officer's silence is linked to personal gains. The villagers are therefore making a desperate call on hierarchy to help restore peace and order in the disputed area. It should be noted that natives of Ntumbo and Njirong villages have been in conflict for several years over a fertile piece of land, each claiming ownership over the said piece of land. Despite two rulings by the court in favor of the Njirong people, they still face frequent attacks from their Ntumbo neighbors, who always invade the fertile Mborong piece of land for farming and settlement.
The members of the ruling CPD and political party Fako 1C section gathered at Man Owobe to commemorate the launch of activities ahead of the reorganization committee of the upcoming elections. Details with Bokengo Wadi.
Militants of Fako 1C section of the Cameroon's People Democratic Movement CPDM have been called upon to vote for leaders who cater for the interests of the people and not their personal interest. The call was made by the Central Committee's representative and president of the Electoral Committee for Fako 1C section, precisely the Bimbia section.
Our objective is to make sure that we put in place people who can lead us. And so we have to be impartial in all the decisions that we're making to make sure that we put the right persons that will lead our great party in this section.
Comrade Motombing Dumbe presided over a preparatory meeting for the reorganization of basic organs in the party in the FACO 1C section.
We should consider gender and make sure that in all of our lists we should have women and youths represented for eventual take-off the leadership of the party. Women should be represented at all levels of the party.
Welcoming militants and sympathizers, the section president for FACO 1C, Comrade George Bonney, thanked militants for the support given to the section in previous elections and called on them to remain steadfast in upcoming elections. On his part, the president for the FACO 1C Electoral College, Comrade Motombi Dumbe, used the occasion to introduce members of the electoral team assigned to FACO 1C. He reminded militants of basic rules put in place by the Central Committee, binding the smooth organization of the upcoming elections.
What we expect from the militants is a camaraderie style of approach of all what we do. They should work together, build a group that will represent us and make sure that we don't divide some of this activity.
The event equally saw the renewal of the executive of the CPDM Basic Organs and Specialized Organization to the section president of the three wings of the party to help clarify the doubts of candidates who would like to go in for the election, as well as the handing over of the circular number 001/CPDM/NP of July 8, 2021.
The Secretary General of the Ministry of Social Affairs has presided over the just ended 2021 session of the National Committee for Rehabilitation and Socio-Economic Reintegration of Persons Living with Disabilities. Joingong has details of this story.
Militants of the FACO 1C section of the Cameroon's People Democratic Movement CPDM have been called upon to vote for leaders
in a bid to strengthen the legal basis for the protection and promotion of persons living with disabilities. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Social Affairs chaired in the conference room of the Cameroon Baptist Convention Health Services in Yaoundé from August 11 to August 12, a workshop to evaluate the disability approach in programs and projects of Kmer.
This body assists the government in developing a comprehensive policy for persons with disabilities and takes part in its evaluation, gives its opinion on any technical issue as concerns persons with disabilities, makes suggestions on measures likely to promote their full participation in economic, cultural, and social development actions.
The two-day workshop reminded the participants of the important needs of persons with disabilities and reinforced laws on their protection, reintegration and rehabilitation.
There are many provisions. For example, the law provides that when transport systems are established, considerations should be made for persons with disabilities. When taxis, bus services are instituted, there should be provisions for persons with disabilities.
The CBC personnel on their part pledged to support government in overseeing the implementation of laws protecting and promoting these persons with disabilities.
The CBC Health Services has really been contributing a lot, at least to make sure that to assist the government to see into the implementation of the law of 2010 to ensure that persons with disabilities are really inclusive in all the actions, especially in the multi-sectorial actions in the government.
The Ministry of Social Affairs, through the Kmer program, has taken the responsibility to facilitate the coordination of efforts made by public authorities and individuals for the benefit of persons with disabilities.
We've come to the end of today's edition of Prime News, compiled for us by Lasha Kingsley. The news was produced by Ewan in Nalinga Ella. Prime comes up at exactly 7 p.m. with Gumluda. My name is Von Quinta. Stay with us. Good night.